If you're just joining us, again, welcome to the Academic Success in Year One webinar. We're really happy that you're with us. Send us your questions at any point. We'll get started here in just 1 second. We still have attendees flowing in. My name is Kelly. I work in the Office of Admission, and I will be facilitating for us today, but definitely we'll make sure that you're mostly hearing from Renee and Justin, who are the experts. All right, so we have a pretty steady number of attendees. I'm sure we'll have a few more flow in, but I will go ahead here in a second and let Renee and Justin introduce themselves. Don't forget to send us your questions through the Q&A at the bottom of the screen, and we will get to as many of them as we can. They can be about academic services, tutoring, writing help, things like that. They can be about tips for success academically. They can be about your schedule, generally speaking, if you have questions about how schedules will work, or they can be about advising. So send us any questions you have and we will get to them. All right, Renee, do you want to start us off with a quick introduction?
Sure. Hello, everybody. I'm so very excited to be here today to talk to all of you. I know this is a exciting and overwhelming time for first-year freshmen, particularly this go-around, given, the unusual circumstances in which we're living, the pandemic and the social unrest. But I'm very happy to tell you that Oglethorpe has planned ahead, and our services will be realigned to help you succeed in your upcoming first year at Oglethorpe University. And so as the Director of Academic Success and Advising, my job is to make sure that each and every one of you has the tools and support you need to be successful. And so some of those tools are the Writing and Tutoring Center, where we have subject-specific tutors to help you, such as the math, economics, language. We also have writing tutors that will help you in terms of collegiate writing. We also have supplemental instructors that work primarily in the sciences and maths, that work with the professors in chemistry and biology and other introductory science courses to make sure that you are aware of the current material and what you need to be successful and how to study in those courses. One of the things I always tell first-year students is the most important thing for you to know is that you don't know everything. You're only 18 years old. You're not supposed to know. And so the most important advice I can give you is to ask for help when you need it. Our job here at Oglethorpe University is never to shake our finger at you and shame you for anything. So don't be embarrassed. Ask any question. It might be our 1,000th time answering something, but it's your first time, and we understand that. And so we want you to feel comfortable in terms of reaching out to us and letting us know how we can help you. Another thing I want to let you know is that in academic success, we house a Compass First Year Advising Program. To briefly explain that, every single first-year freshman is going to be assigned a caring higher education professional that will help you navigate your first year. It's kind of one-stop shopping. All the questions you have for advising in terms of your coursework, academic work, all your professional career development things, your personal and social integration, and all of that. And so I'm also the guy who created your schedule. So if you haven't seen your schedule already, please log into oasis.oglethorpe.edu and take a look. All of you should have been contacted already by an advisor to review your schedule with you. If you haven't been contacted by an advisor, I'm sure Kelly will give you my contact information and we can figure that out after this call. I want to introduce you now, Justin Bennett. He was one of your shoes. He was the first-year freshman that came, and he, stopped by Academic Success, started asking for help, and started participating actively in a lot of the things that we do. He has risen through the ranks, has worked for our office as a peer academic leader. He is also our head tutor going into this school year. And so with that, I'll leave him to introduce himself and talk a little bit.
So I'm Justin Bennett, as Rene and Kelly have already mentioned. I'm a junior now. Wow, that's crazy, right? Don't know where to start. French and econ double major. So I have a lot of experience in both of those realms. Highly involved on campus, as Rene already mentioned. I'm super involved in academic success, pal, tutor. Also worked in the office as a lead student worker, involved in civic engagement. I'm a Compass advisor. I'm also involved in a lot of different organizations, Collegiate 100. I'm a member of fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. I'm in a lot. So if you have any questions about how to get involved or whatever, I can probably help you and get to where you probably want to go. So.
Awesome. Okay, so everybody make sure to send us your questions that you would like to ask Rene or Justin, or me if for some reason you have a question for me. I would love to know a little bit more, Justin, about what your experience has been like, being a tutor, and being a peer academic leader, or even what your experience was like when you were a first year student taking advantage of some of those services or experiencing the advising program. What can you tell students about what they might expect and how you got into doing this work?
So this is going to be a lot, okay? But so I will preface that. However, campus advising is extremely beneficial, I would say, for every single freshman because, like, you go into college not knowing what the world you're doing. And even though, yeah, I knew I wanted to be an econ major, I knew I wanted to be a French major, blah, 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 I didn't know what direction I needed to take to get to where I actually wanted to go. And so having my campus advisor, my freshman year, Dr. Lutz, who was a French faculty member, he helped me tremendously in figuring out where I wanted to go, how to get the classes I needed, and how to like navigate being a double major and finish the majors on time. And actually, I'm basically finished with my French major 2 years in, even though I have 2 more years to go. So now I can focus solely on econ. How did I get involved? Oh my God, I really don't even remember. So Rene, the great Rene, he was at the student involvement fair, which always happens the first week of school during orientation or orientation weekend. Yeah. And so we started talking and my birthday was coming up. So he was like, what do you do for your birthday? We started talking, blah, blah, blah. And then after my birthday, he asked how my birthday was, so on and so forth. So I started coming to the office and we got well acquainted with one another. And so then because I started, when I came in as a freshman, I started as a senior level French major. So I talked to Rene about being a French tutor because you get paid for tutoring if you need a little side hustle. And back then I was hard pressed for money. So I was like, I want to tutor. And so I asked Rene, could I do that? And then, so I started the spring semester, January, as a freshman tutoring. And so I was able to not only hone in on my own French language skills, but I was also able to help others who really didn't know anything about French, who were maybe, let's say maybe in 101 or even in 301, they still were like, okay, I have a question about how to word this paper or whatever. How do I get the grammar together in a French mindset? So they would come to me and ask for help. And it was just very rewarding that, hey, I'm a freshman, I'm helping these people out. Like, I'm the real deal. And so additionally, with being a PAL, I started that as well in January 2019 as a freshman because after my first semester as a freshman, I did really, really well. I always keep my GPA up. And so I talked to Rene about helping others because I was already a tutor. So it kind of like made sense to help others. And so a peer academic leader is where you go in and for students who need a little extra help, who need mentoring, one-on-one mentoring with an actual student, it helps them to actually, to let's say, have an understanding of how did freshman year Justin get through Core 101? How did freshman year Justin navigate being super involved as well as making good grades? How did you do that? And how can I not necessarily emulate that, but how can I tackle on those same tasks and succeed in them? So it really was rewarding because I got to see a group of my pals. They developed over a semester, their grades improved drastically. And I would even say more so this past year, more so than freshman year, it was really rewarding because like all of my pals, they came in and they were like literally so lost. They were like, I don't know how I'm gonna bring my GPA up, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the semester, every single one was like, it's gonna be above a 3.5. And it's all thanks to you. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. So yeah, it feels really rewarding and it's just extremely beneficial to say that I could help people. And not just even if you're in the Excel program, which is what who PALs work with, But even if you just need help, advice, whatever it may be, I'm always a voice to be, or a sounding board and a voice to give you the answer you may need.
I want to piggyback off of that and just let everybody know that, Justin's involvement in academic success, much like some of you who are attending the session today, was sparked not out of academic things, but just being involved in all aspects of the university. Academics is one part of the equation. Your career development, your personal development, your social interaction, all those things work together to help you succeed. And so the main takeaway from Justin's conversation, how he so eloquently put it, is make sure that you participate in whatever you can outside of the classroom. But that's where some of the real learning takes place, and that's where the real things can happen to move you forward and help you be successful.
Absolutely, and that we never want students to overload themselves, so keep that in mind. But at the same time, the students who are the most involved are very often the ones who are most successful. So it's always a good idea to try new things, put yourself in a new situation, and you might find that you really like it. And like Justin might find out a talent you didn't even know you had. Awesome, so we already have some questions in the Q&A. This is one that we haven't had addressed before, right? Because this is a new issue, but somebody asked for any tips for online classes. So I might pass that one to Rene. Do you have any tips for students who know they have?
Absolutely. And so the one thing I want everyone here to understand is that taking an online course at Oglethorpe is different than taking an online course elsewhere. If you notice that a lot of your courses online, they're scheduled for specific days and times. The university, in response to this pandemic and ensuring that all of you have that personalized, unique experience as Oglethorpe students, have invested heavily in outfitting every classroom with multiple cameras. And so for your online courses, or for those who are in hybrid courses that want to attend remotely one of the days, you can log into the class at the designated day and time and actively participate live with the professor and the student. You're not going to be watching videos. You're not going to be just work when you want. You have to log in at a specific day and time, and this helps you keep engaged with the coursework, with the materials, with the professor, with the other students. Because even if you're attending the courses virtually, you're still an active participant, and that is the main difference. Because most other institutions, they have 50, 100, 200 students in a class. You won't have more than 20 or 25 max in any class at any given time. And so that's how online courses will work.
All right, so yeah, make sure you're thinking of your online classes as you would a normal class, right? It's not something you want to be putting off. It's not something that you want to be thinking I can do it whenever. It's important that you're still being present, logging in, doing all the activities, talking to your professors, talking to your other students. All that is going to be really important for your success.
Kelly, can I say something real quick? Yeah, so what I would also add is that regardless of how your class is going to be delivered in the fall, one thing that Oglethorpe offers is office hours. So every professor is required to have office hours, and whether it's remote, virtual, or in person, you're still able to have that one-on-one personal experience with your professor, and they can help you navigate you through whatever it may be. I don't understand this concept. They can help you with that. I'm doing really well. I want to help others with it. They can help you with that. They can send you down whatever path you want to go on. So it may be daunting, but don't worry. I promise you'll be fine.
Yes, go to office hours, talk to your professors. That's one of the reasons to choose a small school. So since you're going to a small school, definitely take advantage of that. Okay, let's see here. Leah asked, what advice do you have about taking tests at Oglethorpe? So for students who are maybe nervous about studying for tests and taking tests, what advice would you give them?
I'll answer first, and I'll give Justin a chance. And so, it depends on the kind of student that you are. One of the services that we also offer at Oglethorpe University is accessibility services. For those of you who might have documented disability, who might need extra time on tests, you can reach out to me through the email Kelly provided, and I can answer some questions specifically concerning that. In a general sense, the best way that we advise students in terms of tests is not to wait till the last minute. I know it's human nature to procrastinate and study 5 hours the night before an exam. In college, the trick to success is taking incremental steps every day and planning out your week and finding that routine. So by the time that exam arrives, you'll be ready for it. Study a little bit every day. If you have multiple exams in the same week, or you have writing assignments, never spending more than an hour studying at a time. Usually start the study maybe 2 weeks before. Another thing that I always tell students is, schedule a time with a tutor to review material. That's a good way to reinforce your knowledge about it. What really matters here is preparation. Taking little steps over an extended period of time to do the work you need to study for it, rather than cramming the night before, I think is the best way to go.
Yeah, I'd add as well that, of course, as I literally just mentioned, college is probably extremely daunting for most incoming freshmen. But you made it through high school, and that is an accomplishment in itself. And I'm pretty sure you had tests then. It's kind of the same thing, at least for me, in my opinion. As Rene said, don't study. Like, don't try to cram. It's really easy to cram because you have so much going on. And you're like, I want to partake in this. I want to partake in that. I'll push it off until Friday morning, and then I have tested at 8:15. I have to study like 12 o'clock to 8:15 so I can get ready for it. Don't do that. Yeah, I promise you, it does not help you at all. It does not. It actually gives you more anxiety, if anything. So what I recommend is, as Rene said, when you get material, just study it bits and pieces at a time, because then it's easy to remember like small pieces of information rather than trying to take in a hodgepodge of information that could cover like 4 chapters. That's a lot of material. So Rene literally told you everything you need to do.
Yes, and I will say from remembering when I was in college, I know it's hard, but try to do the reading as assigned, because if you have to read 6 chapters the night before your test, you're going to be pretty upset with yourself. All right, so we have a question in here, and this might apply to what you were saying, Justin, earlier. Let's say you're in a class that is pretty advanced. How, as freshmen, do we maneuver in a course filled with seasoned students? So if a student's placing into a more upper level class, how would you suggest they approach that?
Don't be nervous. When I came in as a I was taking econ, and well, back then I was a business admin with a concentration in finance track major. But when I came in, not really more so with the business / econ classes, but with the French major, starting it as a senior, I was kind of nervous. I'm like, I'm gonna be in classes with these people who are actually fluent. And I'm like, yeah, I may say I'm fluent, but I don't think I'm actually fluent. And so I think I was worried about that. But coming in, it really, having Dr. Lutz there to reassure me that, okay, these are regular people. They're taking the same classes that you are in, because like y'all all qualified to be in this class. So you'll be fine. That's literally what he told me. You'll be fine. And so what I did was I did the readings that we had to do. Because I remember the course, it was great. It was World War, great, oh my God. The Great War, World War I. And it was like a whole big book that we had to read. And did the readings. I watched all the films. I made sure that I was like, and I guess I wouldn't say this is a good thing to do, but what I did was I made sure that I felt like I was adequate by trying to learn stuff that wasn't in the coursework, so that I could say, okay, I don't feel like I'm like subordinate to you guys. So they're people. They're people. Don't be nervous by upper level people in your classes. They're just people.
That's right. One thing I want to add to that is that your professors understand that you're first year students. And so they have designed their course specifically to accommodate any kind of student. And so right now, when you look at your schedule for your first semester, every single class in which you're scheduled is designed with first year students in mind. For those of you who've taken dual enrollment credits, or your AP scores put you in a higher level course, your professors understand that. And so, the trick here, on top of, asking for help and visiting the professor during office hours, well, you can always talk to other students, form study groups. There's lots of things that you can do. One of the things I want to address is that college coursework is much different than high school coursework in that college coursework requires you think critically, that you synthesize information and you create new information. And so the professors are there as guideposts to help you get to where you need to get. And so one of my favorite things I like doing is that I ask first year students about their courses, and of course, some of them are very excited and they're getting into the crux of things. And then I ask them about the same thing at the end of the semester, and seeing the change in how they approach their studies and the way that they do things is a testament to how the professors and other students and the way the class was taught really helped people develop the skills they need to be successful. So the thing here that you should take away from all of this is that you're not supposed to be subject matter experts. You're here to learn. And what matters here is that the professors and other students and the tutors and people in academic success and admissions can help facilitate that for you. The big thing here is ask for help when you need it, visit your professor during office hours, talk to your advisor. All those things help contribute to your success in the course.
So somebody mentioned dual enrollment classes. We had a question in the Q&A. Will all of my dual enrollment credit be transferred? And before anybody says anything, I would like to plug that we did do a webinar about dual enrollment AP and IB courses, which the recording has been posted in our Moodle course. So if you have questions about dual enrollment, there's tons of really helpful information in there. It was with our associate registrar, Melinda, and she gave lots of good info. The short answer is if you did dual enrollment classes at an accredited college and you got a C- or better, you'll get credit for that at Oglethorpe. If you have specific questions about how that credit is coming in and what classes you're getting credit for, how they look on your transcript, or any classes that you're being opted out of, we can definitely have a more specific conversation about each individual case. But overall, you get credit for the dual enrollment classes that you've taken. All right. Is it possible to request a schedule change as an incoming freshman? If so, who should I talk to?
Absolutely. And so all first year students, I'm the one who created your schedule. So some of you might be very happy, or some of you might want to, be very mad at me. But I will tell you this, the power is in your hands. Once you've seen your schedule, an advisor should have reached out to you. And so please check your emails, your personal emails, your Oglethorpe email, check your spam folder, look for this email, and then schedule an appointment with that advisor. Once you talk with this advisor and you understand why you're scheduled in these courses based off your course preference form, your academic interests, and where they apply in your overall graduation requirements, then you will receive an email with a link to a form that you can schedule a change to your, you can request a change to your schedule. And that email goes directly to me, and then you and I will have a one-to-one conversation about how we can change your schedule, what best fits your life schedule in comparison to your academic schedule. And so one thing I want everybody here to understand is that every single class that you're enrolled in your first year freshman semester will count towards one graduation requirement or another. There are no wasted classes. So whether it counts as a core required general education course, whether it counts as a major specific course or as a general elective course, it will all count towards one thing or another. And so if you have not heard from your advisor, or once you check your emails and your spam box and your junk folders and you haven't found any email from anyone talking about your schedule, then let me know at the email that Kelly provided in the chat room, and then I will find out who that advisor is, and we'll make sure that they reach out to you by the end of this week.
Perfect. Okay, so somebody's asking about pre-professional tracks. Ashokad had a question about the pre-law track and how scheduling would work in later years. So I know we don't want to get too specific since we're not pre-law advisors, but in talking about making sure students get the classes that they need for pre-professional tracks, what would you tell them in terms of how that would work?
Sure, and so just so that everybody's on the same page, pre-professional tracks such as pre-med, pre-veterinarian, pre-health, pre-physical therapy, pre-law, all of these are not majors. And so what matters here is that you build a specific skill set that law schools and the LSAT exams require, such as critical thinking, logic, and all those kinds of things. And so it's the type of classes that require you to do in-depth analysis, to synthesize information. And so all of you that indicated that you're a pre-law track, you're in a history course, of course, that that requires that you write and analyze text. Now, all of those are the skill building things that you should be participating in your first semester. After your first semester, then what you can do is you can talk to your Compass advisor and they can connect you to our pre-law advisor. One of our professors in the political science department serves as a pre-law advisor, and you can talk to him once you get into your sophomore year, going into your junior year, and he can help you design some of your courses around your major. If it's outside of the typical majors associated with pre-law, they can talk about what courses you can take as general elective, and that way that'll help you get the skills you need to do well in the LSAT and to do well in your applications to law school.
Perfect. Same for pre-med, same for all the different pre-professional.
Same for pre-med. And by the way, as a pre-med student, just so everybody knows, you can be any major you want. Only about 50% of pre-med majors or pre-med track students pursue a major in the sciences. There are a lot of students who pursue majors outside of the sciences. As long as you're taking the prerequisite science courses, then you're in good shape. And so to go more in detail about that, once you step foot on campus and you're moving into your sophomore year, your Compass advisor will connect you to our pre-health professions advisor, Dr. Charlie Bobby, and he can highlight for you pathways for you to make sure that you're prepared to take the MCATs and those kinds of things.
Yep, there is a world of majors out there to choose from, no matter what pre-professional track you're doing. So you can also talk to your advisor once you get here if you're not sure what to major in, and they can help you think about those things. Sarah wants to know, how is it different doing a double major versus a major and a minor?
Well, I'll let Justin talk about the student perspective, and I'll talk to you about the mechanics after that.
I haven't done a major and a minor, so I really can't speak too heavily on that. But as a double major, I do know that so I'll graduate essentially with 2 degrees, a BA and a BS. And so it's, for me, because I came in as a senior in French, it wasn't really demanding or too tasking of me. However, I do know people who actually have double majors and a minor, and they were successful in doing it. They've graduated now. So, it all depends on what you want to do and what realm you plan on taking and where you want to go in the future. I guess and Rene can probably answer more on this, but what I would guess is that for a major and a minor, of course, you don't get that degree for your minor. I think you get like a certification. I don't know what you get, but I know it's not a full degree. So I guess Rene can explain more.
Well, here's the thing. One thing that we want you to understand is that right out of the gate as your first year freshman, you don't have to declare a double major. There's plenty of time to do that. And so one of the things I always tell students is you should always pursue an academic path based on an experience that you've had. And so my suggestion for you, since all your first year freshman courses will count towards 1 degree requirement or another, I would suggest that maybe you take a class in the 2 majors you're thinking about pursuing, and then based on your experience in those courses, then decide for you whether this is something that you really want to pursue. Now, in terms of a minor, I've always viewed a minor as an extra credential in terms of augmenting the skill set you develop as in a major. And so, I've seen a lot of people who major in one thing and minor in something that's completely unrelated. What really matters here is, instead of looking at the specific courses of a major and minor, think about it this way. What skills are you going to build that's going to want to make employers pay you more money when you graduate, right? And so always think about augmenting the skills that you're developing in the major and seeing what skills you can develop in a minor to help augment those 2 things together. So they work together to help prepare you. So now once you graduate, you're not saying, where's my magic job from the sky? You know exactly what it is that you want to do, and you'll have the skill sets to pursue it. And so these are the things that you can talk more in depth with your Compass advisor, and then we can outline a plan for you in terms of achieving those goals. But again, I want to emphasize, always make your decisions based off of your experience. I've had some students who said they want to be a doctor, and the minute they saw blood, they're like, oh, I don't want to do any of that. And so we want to make sure that whatever decisions you make, that you do so through an experience that you curated for yourself. And that's something that can help you do before the school year starts. We got 2 months left to do that. And so the same goes with an individually planned major. Some of you might want to be pursuing that. And so that is something we have plenty of time to do within your first academic year. But again, those are the things that should be planned based on experience with a course that you've taken. And that's something that we can talk more in depth after you talk to your advisor. And if you're inclined to do so, requested a schedule change.
And logistically, right, typically a minor will require fewer hours or classes than a second major would. And it'll depend on the combination of things that you're doing. But you can see all those requirements on our website. It'll tell you which classes are required, usually for a minor versus a major. And a minor usually requires, 4 or 5 classes typically?
Yeah, sometimes, it's between, 16 to 20 credits. Some are a little higher than that, but that's the average. For those of you who are a communications major, you are required to declare a minor. And again, that's something that you can figure out in your first semester and start pursuing actively in the spring.
In the same way, somebody asks, how many courses do people typically take per semester if they are also minoring or double majoring in something? So really, the question is, how does it change your course load if you do those things?
Well, typically speaking, what sets Oglethorpe apart from other institutions is that right from the get-go, you are involved in your core general education courses and you're involved in your major required courses. That is very different from most other universities that often make you wait about a couple of years to really dive headfirst into your major courses. And so typically speaking, most students take courses in the range of 16 to 18 credits. If you are a non-science major, typically 4 classes a semester, 16 credits is the norm. You want to average about 32 earned credits a year. So you graduate in 4 years with 128 credits. For those who are in the science majors, because of 1 credit courses, some of you will be taking 17 or 15 credits. As long as you're averaging 32 credits an academic year, you're in good shape. And so typically speaking, if you decide to pursue a double major, you have very little wiggle room for elective credits. So that typically speaking, you'll be taking your core classes and you'll be taking your major required courses. That's a double major. If you're a minor, if you're pursuing a minor and a major, then you, in your first year, in your first semester, you'll be taking core, a major course, and 2 general electives or minor course. And so, yes, there's definitely room to plan out all these courses you need to take to complete a double major or a major and a minor throughout your whole 4 years here. And that's something you can talk more in depth, again, with your campus advisor. And then we can help you with the tools such as student planning in your Oasis account to help plan out your 4 years. So that way you can see what courses are actually on the schedule that you need to take in the spring and the following fall. And that's something you can plan with your advisor and go from there.
Great. So it doesn't always have to change your course load. It just requires us being organized and knowing what your plan is so we can make the most of all of your credit hours.
That's right.
Here is a question I love. As freshmen, what are some things we definitely need to take advantage of during our first year on campus? So let's do some plugging.
Okay. I don't even know where to start. There's a lot. As I mentioned with the, oh my God, I just had a blank. With the organization fair. So that happens during orientation weekend, in which don't skip orientation weekend events because they're so fun and you get to meet people because you come into college probably knowing no one for the most part. So try to meet people, meet as many people as possible. And then at the organization fair or the student organization fair, get involved in whatever activities you want to do, whatever clubs you want to be in, so on and so forth. We have like 60 organizations that you can be a part of. If it's Greek life you want to be a part of, you can go to those interest meetings. There's a lot that is out there for you, and I would say it's pretty necessary to get involved in those things because it doesn't feel like you're just on campus to go to school and go home, because that's kind of boring if you ask me. It's very boring. Also, if you do live on campus, your great RAs and CAs will put on events for you. And so you have hall-specific events like some of the events that I've done previously, we had a Mardi Gras event. We had giant game night where we had like Jenga that's like the size of my house, and people like playing it. And so it's just like really, really fun. And you get to meet people who you may not know who live in your hall or who lives in halls across from you, so on and so forth. So it's just really important to just try to attend those events, because there are going to be events at all times that are available for you to take part in.
Awesome. And Renee, what type of academic things do you think students should try to take advantage of in their first year?
Well, in the first year, there's lots of academic events. There's our last research symposium. That's usually every spring. That's a really big event on campus. We have workshops that we schedule throughout the fall and spring semester through academic success. The big takeaway here is to look on OU Connect. For all of you who are coming in, you should have an account, and that will announce all the activities, social and academic, that are planned throughout the school year. And I think that should give you a clearer picture on what you can expect.
Yeah, and you can always ask your campus advisor for help too. So I know last year there were a couple of study abroad meetings that happened in the first month of school that we wanted every freshman to go to. Even if you're not going to study abroad your first year, it's still good to get an idea of services that are available and make a plan and things like that. So there's lots of things that we want to start you off with right away so that you are aware of what's available to you. So make sure you check your email and check OU Connect. Let's see, how does it work for online classes that don't have specific meet time or days?
Well, I think there might be one or two of those classes. That means that the professor is still figuring out what day and time to conduct the course. And so you should, since we're 2 months outside the start of the school year, that should be taken care of at the end of the month. If it doesn't end up having, I think there's only one or two classes in that scenario. If a no date and time has been assigned, and that means that the professor will schedule an individual time where you can meet with the professor individually, regularly to discuss the requirements of the course. And so that's something I will say, stay tuned and look again around mid-August, and then we can revisit that conversation.
All right, how is the average homework load for classes? Is there a standard amount or does it purely depend on the professor?
Well, from an administrator standpoint, I say it's lots and lots of homework for all of you. I'm just kidding. And so when it comes to homework, and it really depends on the class, it depends on the professor. A lot of our courses are based in critical thinking. And so critical thinking means that you're going to have to read and analyze text and synthesize. And so it all depends on the course, and it all depends on the professor, and it all depends on, a lot of things. So the best way to figure that out is once classes start, look at the syllabus, map out all the work you have to do in a planner, make sure you schedule time for you to complete the work, schedule all your non-academic things, so that way you find a routine. The trick here is finding a routine that you stick with throughout the semester. Because if you know you have to be somewhere or do something at a specific time, at the specific day, then it becomes easier for you to do as it becomes habitual over the next couple of weeks into the semester. And so find that routine, and then you'll see how easy it is to manage.
Yeah, I agree as well. So when I came as a freshman, I go to your classes and you get your syllabus. Every single professor, at least that I've had, I'm pretty sure this is standard. Rene could probably answer that for you, but I'm pretty sure that it's standard that every professor has every homework assignment that you have for the semester planned out in your syllabus. And so when you get that syllabus, you can go through, and as Rene said, put everything in your planner. You can say, okay, when do I have a test? When do I have a paper due? When do I have whatever like is coming up due? And so it's more so about time management. And even if the class that you're in has little to no homework, or if it has a bunch of homework, it's all about you taking advantage of your time and properly distributing your energy to whatever is needed at the time so that you can complete your tasks. But I promise you, you won't be overwhelmed. You won't.
All right. How soon do we need to declare a minor or second major?
That's something that you can discuss when you get on campus with your campus advisor in the first couple of weeks after school starts. You know, your course schedule was created based on your academic interests. So I know that you, like you, so many other students sometimes change their major a couple of times through the admissions process. And so if you notice on your schedule that you don't have a class in the major that you really want to pursue, then that's something you bring up with your advisor. And then we can try to adjust your schedule to make sure that we do get a course in that area. But declaring your major and minor is not something that's really paramount right now. You can always do that once you get to campus and do that with your advisor. It's a pretty simple thing to do.
So there's, after we're talking about student activities fair, question in the chat. Since COVID happened, what extracurriculars are going to be like, or what are they going to be like? I promise you we're going to have extracurricular activities. It's still going to be fun. We cannot ask students, nor would we, to just sit in their rooms all day, every day. Things will be a little bit different for sure. We can't say that they won't, but we are, all summer, what we're doing is figuring out the best ways to still have the activities, the clubs, the organizations, the roles, all those types of things, despite what's going on. So I promise those things will still happen. We're still working out how exactly they're going to happen. So which things will be virtual, which things will be small group setting, which things will be, might be able to carry on the way that they did previously. But I promise that we're still going to have activities for you. It's still going to be, the same Oglethorpe that we've had. It may look a little bit different until we get COVID figured out, but I promise those things are still going to happen. So,
and to add to that, we have a creative team of professionals that we, converse with other other institutions, and we are coming up with amazing ways to make sure that you find meaningful moments in the activities that we have planned for you. The trick here is, yes, we all have to adapt to what's happening in the world today, but the good news is that we're going to make the transition easy for you in terms of finding meaning and attachment to the things that we're creating for you. So keep your eyes and ears open. It's going to be a wonderful school year. Trust me.
All right, so this is a little bit in a different subject, but Justin, you're a great person to answer it. How do you join fraternities?
So it all depends on the fraternity, of course, that you want to join, and I can only speak for mine because I don't know about any other ones. So we have a Greek event where it's like an interest meeting for all of the different organizations, fraternities and sororities on campus, and you can go there. It's really like a social. So you go there, just enjoy the time basically, and then later on, at least for my fraternity, we do recruitment process, and it's really just, if you're interested, you just go through the recruitment process, and then you're in. So it's nothing strenuous, nothing hard, anything like that. So.
And we're planning a Greek life webinar as well in the coming weeks, where some of our, Greek life recruitment folks and leadership in the fraternities and sororities will be chatting with folks. They're a very active bunch. So when it's time for recruitment, you'll know about it. They'll be promoting it. They'll be letting students know that, if you'd like to rush and join a fraternity or sorority, this is the time to do it, and this is the process to do it. So it's something you're interested in. There'll be lots of information about that during your first semester. But like I said, we are planning a webinar for a little bit later on in the summer to give you more information about what that process looks like. There's a question in there about Greek life membership. We can address questions like that in our future event, because we don't have any of the leadership for the Greek organizations here right now, and they're all different, right? So we can't speak for all of the different organizations, but we can definitely address those questions. It's a great thing to be a part of, though, very welcoming and inclusive at Oglethorpe. So definitely encourage it if it's something you're interested in. All right, so it looks like we have answered all of the questions right now in the Q&A. If you have any more, send them to us real quick so we can be sure to address them. For any students who are nervous about taking advantage of tutoring or the writing center or anything like that, what does that process look like if you want to take advantage of services in the academic success office?
So, the plan is this upcoming year is to make sure that we're delivering these services effectively while also taking into consideration the current pandemic. And so, for right now, we're planning, some small group sessions, socially distanced sessions. We're planning virtual appointments through Zoom, much like the interaction that we're having here today. And so to schedule appointments, with the writing tutor or a subject tutor or a supplemental instructor is going to be a very easy process. We will post all those appointment making processes online on our website. We'll make sure to send it to every student so they have a copy of it. We want to make sure that all the students have easy access to it, and so it's easy to schedule an appointment. It all depends though on the availability of our tutors. Sometimes we have drop-in tutoring where you'll be able to log into the Zoom call much like this, but other students in the same subject and talk with the tutor in that way. And so we have open hours that will happen sometimes between 4 and 6 and maybe 6 or 8. We want to make sure that you have access to tutoring at all hours of the day. I know because some of you are athletes, some of you work, some of you are night owls, some of you are early birds. And so we want to make sure that you have access to things at the time that fits your schedule. And so the specific schedule has not been developed yet because that will depend on the tutors and the coursework. And so we will let you know via email when those times will be posted to our website, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. And it looks like we don't have any more questions, so we can totally end a little bit early. When we go, I'd love if people wouldn't mind just sharing like one thing you wish you would have known when you were going to be a freshman in college for academics, just to give a little piece of advice to our students. And to echo what Justin said, I wish I had known, or I wish I had been more assertive with office hours, because the professors really do want to meet with you. That is probably why they went into being a professor at small schools, because they wanted to help students. So don't feel shy or feel like you're bothering them, because that is time they set aside to meet with you. And when you get to your senior year, if you haven't met with your professors and gotten to know them, you're probably going to regret it. So I would definitely recommend investing and meeting your professors, because it will definitely pay off for you.
I wish I would have found a job working on campus as a work study student. That's something I regret not doing, and it's such a meaningful experience for a work study student to be able to participate and get that professional experience while you're a college student. So that's something I wish I could go back and redo. But don't worry, once you come to campus, and even a week before school starts, you can look on Handshake and see what job opportunities are on campus. Apply early and apply often. You'll never know who might call you back and what department might need you. So please do that.
For me, this is really hard because I really don't know. I would say, okay, so I'm gonna be honest. This is something that I did do, but I would recommend it because it's really, really important. So when I came in, I assimilated into college society kind of slowly. Like I didn't just come in and say, whoosh, I'm about to start doing this, that, everything, blah, blah, blah. So even though I got to know people, I did it at a kind of a good rate so I can actually enjoy myself and get accustomed to everything. So then I could finally, once I'm assimilated into the college society, I would say, or the Ogle bubble, then I could get involved more and do whatever. And that's what I did. It proved to work very well because I wasn't overwhelmed, because when you're coming in, you really don't know what you're doing. So when you get accustomed and integrated into the society, then you're like, okay, now I'm not going to rest on my laurels. I'm going to actually get up and try to do something. So that's what I did, and that's what I advise most freshmen to do.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time. If you have questions for us, you can email your admission counselor, text them, call them. You probably know who they are. Or if you had questions that Rene mentioned specifically, of course, you can email him as well. But let us know if you have more questions. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.